After a spectacular day in the Alps, it's a toss-up which were the more memorable, the wide shots or the close-ups. Pierre Rolland got up from a crash to take a brilliant stage win for France that outdid his teammate Thomas Veuclers for panache. The race leader and his Italian adversary called a truce on their newspaper sniping with a mutual show of respect at the line. And the defending champion suddenly found himself defending 4th place after planning an audacious attack that his legs just couldn't carry out. This is how the standings looked at the end of it all. Bradley Wiggins in yellow with Chris Froome up into 2nd place, and his rivals either failing to take time like Vincenzo Nibali or actually falling away like Cadel Evans, now out of the podium places. The only man who currently looks capable of putting Wiggins under any pressure is the man whose chief job it is to protect him from it. Chris Froome's acceleration on the final climb saw his team leader briefly distanced before the team radio seemed to crackle into life and call him off.
I looked around and saw that he was only maybe 20, 30 meters behind me. My main objective there was I'd brought Brad back up to that group with Nibali in it. And I thought, okay, he's on the wheels there, he's safe. This should give me the green light to go. But when I went, obviously the guys behind me started splitting and chasing, and then Brad wasn't on the wheels anymore. So it made no sense in me carrying on like that if it was going to jeopardize his yellow jersey. So I sat up and waited.
You had a great time trial, stakes 10. Brad beat you by a few seconds there. You clearly had plenty in the tank in the mountains today. On current form, right here and now, which of you is the strongest rider, would you say?
Bradley's definitely stronger. He's, without a doubt, the team leader, and we're all here to support him.
At 226 kilometres, stage 12 is the longest of the whole race. Setting out from Saint-Jean-de-Maurienne and taking the race out of the Alps via a couple of 1,000-metre climbs. The first is the Category 1 Col du Grand Coucheron, and once they're over that, they've got another first cat climb, the Col du Granier. Now, once the riders are over the Col du Granier, they still have 140 kilometres left to ride, and about 115 of that is a long, rolling no-man's land. What's stopping the sprinters' teams really in the day's break-in for a bunch finish, though, is a nasty little climb 25 kilometres or so from the line, the Cote d'Ardois. It'll be a brave attack that stays away for most of 226 kilometres, but somebody's going to try. 167 men in the rollout this morning of the 198 who started in Liège. That's the same number that finished in Paris last year, so the rate of attrition is pretty high. Brad Wiggins there in conversation with TJ Van Garderen before the flag dropped. Just the usual weather, road conditions, the role of talented young riders on teams led by veterans, that sort of thing. Now, there were a dozen men in the day's break, among them Astana's Robert Kieselowski, who mopped up the maximum points at the summit of the Col du Grand Coucheron so that no one else could make up ground on his teammate Frédéric Kessiakoff. On the descent of the Grand Coucheron, David Moncoutier tried to get across to the break, but came off on a corner, and sadly his farewell Tour de France ended there rather than on the Champs-Élysées. So 166 men left in the race, and the breakaway group was still out front, heading up the second climb of the day.
Well, they're dropping down into the centre of the city of Annonay, but then they will start to climb up for the last 3.5 kilometres, and that's when it starts to get tricky, Phil.
And now, surely, Paul, they've got to hit each other.
But there's the move by Egoy Martinez on the slope, and they haven't responded. Miller has.
That was a little false one. He just checked to see where they were, Martinez, and now he's seen Miller very, very attentive. Miller's chased him down. Watch out for Kieselowski. He's closed the gap. 5 together again. Miller's swung off. Checking now. This is where the cat and mouse starts, and that's the time for... No, it isn't the time for Igor Martinez.
Cyril Gauthier looks like a man who could be a very good sprinter. He doesn't have very many references. Only won 2 victories in his career. The last one, the Tour of Adélie back in 2010. But he's zigzagging about at the back end of the line, and he obviously is a man who's got a bit of an explosive punch, and he's waiting to see which line he's going to follow. Look at him there. If he wins this, it'll be the 3rd win in a row for Europcar and for France.
It would be incredible result. The 4th win for France, but the 3rd, yes, from Europcar. You're absolutely right. We'll see. as they now ease back on the climb. A little rise is topped here. They are waiting for someone to make a move. 3 kilometers to go. We've slowed down because they've no worry about the whereabouts of the peloton. They're now at 9 minutes and 52 seconds. Keselowski has launched an attack, and it's down to David Miller to close it down. The others are chasing, but it looks to me as though Gautier is caught a little bit at the back.
Well, Miller straight onto the wheel of Keselowski in the turquoise jersey of Team Astana. Perrault is right onto the back wheel. So too is Egoy Martinez. Back Perrault now, the mountain biker, goes over the top in the white jersey.
And now it is Jean-Christophe Perrault has launched the attack. Miller is trying to reach him because the others are struggling. It doesn't look like it, but this is quite a hard climb.
And now it's going to be up to Keselowski to try and respond. Miller has almost got his back wheel onto Perrault.
As we're looking for 2 kilometers to go, they might have snapped the elastic there, and Miller has got across. The sprinter, Gautier, has seen the danger. He's had to launch an attack, and Martinez is willing to go with him.
But it's hard to nail it back, though, once you've let the move go at the end of a race like this, Phil, at 2.5 kilometers to go. If you let the gap go, you're not on the wheel. It's very difficult to nail it back.
Miller's going to have to somehow coax Jean-Christophe Perrault in front of him, and he's got to do it in the next kilometre.
Well, he won't do it for the moment, Phil, because he wants to consolidate on the difference between himself and these riders behind, because it's still only 50 metres. Those two leaders cannot play cat and mouse just yet. They've got to get into the finishing straight, into the last 500 metres with a good advantage before they try and figure out who's going to take the first position, who's going to take second in the sprint for the line.
The 3 chasers can see the quarry, but I'm not sure they can get across now. This is uphill. Now, don't worry about the race behind. There'll be about another 12 minutes before they finish. It's about which one of these two wins the Tour de France stage today.
They are concerned, though, Phil, about the 3 riders just behind them, because if they allow them to come back now, these guys have left too much energy on the road. If they get caught by the 3 chasers, then they may well lose their chance of victory.
Now, as they come up towards the finish now, are these 3 going to be desperate? Keselowski looks as though he's going to try again.
Well, this is when you've got to be a hard man. This is when you've got to get the poker face on. You've got to play that game of poker properly. For the moment, though, Miller's happy to sit in first place.
It's the tempting moment now. The cards are on the table. Who's got the full house as Miller makes the right bend? Remember, we do have this roundabout in the last 400 metres. Miller has got to keep the tempo. The way he's riding, he is confident that when this man jumps behind him, he can handle him. David Miller looking for a 4th stage win in the Tour de France, staring out at Jean-Christophe Perrault, who will wait and wait and wait. The reason being, I don't think he's a very, very good sprinter.
Well, he's not got any pedigree from sprinting, but this is now one man against another. It's two riders looking. You can see Egoy Martinez trying to catch 200 metres to go. This is going to be a short sprint. Now Perrault starts.
There he goes. There he goes now. Miller has got to wind that gear. For the moment, it's advantage Perrault, but now Miller is turning the gear. David Miller is going to the line, and he gets it for Great Britain. Remember, he's going to go to the Olympics, but this time it's for the American Garmin team. David Miller gets his 4th historical stage win of the Tour de France. He did that with such panache, and remember, it was Miller's attack on the way down the Col de Granier that started the break that won the day, and for the Scot, it was his victory. And we are going to be treated to an equally exciting sprint finish from the peloton, Paul, because they're racing for the green jersey points. Sagan has just been manoeuvred to the front here by Daniel Oss. So we've got the 2 leaders in first and second. Sagan's the danger man. I think he's got to the front a bit too early myself.
Well, I don't know. Daniel Oss is a fantastic lead-out man, but, you know, it seems to me that Matty Goss and Orica Greenedge have been caught a long, long way behind. In fact, Daniel Oss is dragging them away at 2 kilometres to go to the finish.
Maybe that's what he spotted. Sagan's looked over his shoulder to see if Goss is following him, and he hasn't seen him, and they know he's a perfect perfectionist on these sprint finishes uphill. He's still checking them out.
Well, it looks like Matty Goss is coming up to the back wheel there as he got to the tailwind of Peter Sagan. Now Michael Rogers takes over. It's all back together. A bit of calm now on board the Orica Greenedge Express.
Well, let's remind ourselves, it is an uphill finish. If any of the leaders got just a single bike length ahead, they would get a 1-second advantage, and it would be annoying if it wasn't going to help change positions in the overall. For that reason, perhaps, Michael Rogers pushes on the speed here, all in the aid of Bradley Wiggins. Around that sharp right-hander. It's over 6.5 minutes since David Miller won the stage.
Well, now it's Michael Rogers just doing those last few moments. He's not concerned about getting a place in the top 10 on an individual stage like this. What he's concerned is about getting his man, Bradley Wiggins, in the yellow jersey to the finish line safely. They're inside of the final kilometre in the main field now, and moving right up there is Daniel Osses, in fact, on the wheel of Cadel Evans. A little bit further back, you've got the green jersey of Peter Sagan.
Yes, Sagan's dropped back. We're at 800 metres. This is a very slow start, but on the left of our picture, the second rider with the beard is Matthew Goss. He had a little bit of a contretemps with the feet of the barriers there, and he's going to come round enough to come off those barriers as he now tries to break through. Goss is in second wheel here. Sagan has come right up to him as they start to dash around the roundabout. The sprinters have gone to the right. It's coming back together again. They are 400 metres from the line, and now Wiggins is still trying to mix in with this one as Matthew Goss starts to go. He's got in a good position. Sagan is third. Goss is second. Now, is Sagan going to get the better? Because this is a slightly uphill sprint. Now Matthew Goss goes and takes the green jersey towards Paris if he gets any more points. But watch the finish now. A little bit of movement there by Matthew Goss. The referees mightn't like that. He's complaining, and he might have a case.
Well, that was a little bit of argy-bargy coming into that sprint. I think that was a little bit of tactical manoeuvre there. That, to me, Phil, was a naughty little move there against the man from Slovakia. As much as Matty Goss is a good sprinter, I think that was done on purpose.
Well, that was a hook, and the referees don't like people who move off the lines, and I don't think Peter Sagan, I'm glad I can't speak his language, he didn't like it either.
Well, it didn't take long for the commissaires to check the replays. That is, if they needed to check the replays and reverse the order of that sprint between Matt Goss and Peter Sagan. Well, in fact, the judges did subsequently change something. Not at the top, of course. David Miller winning the stage from Jean-Christophe Perrault, with Egoy Martinez leading home the remains of the break 5 seconds behind them. Peter Sagan, as reported, was promoted to 6th and got the 15 green jersey points that go with it. Matt Goss was demoted to 7th and got the 13 points that go with that. But the judges also docked him 30 points for deviating from his line. Behind all that, how's your father? Cadel Evans, Bradley Wiggins, Chris Froome and Vincenzo Nibali all finished safely in the main field on the same time. So Peter Sagan extends his lead in the green jersey competition as Matt Goss goes backwards, and thus increases the likelihood that we'll see a high-speed wheelie over the line on the Champs-Élysées a week on Sunday. And at the end of 226 kilometres in the saddle through the Tour's longest stage, absolutely no change at the top of the standings.